Click the go live button. Meeting is now streaming live. There's always a joke. At the beginning of each live video, you'll see I'm always saying there's always a 15-second delay. I think we're good now. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Next Level pop-up. And we are coming to you live today. First with me. Hi, my name is Adam Carswell. Hi, Grandma. And we're joined by Vinki Loomba, who has been on a few pop-ups before, at least one. She's been popping up in our clubhouse room. That's what I was thinking of. We have a clubhouse room at 11 a.m. Central every Tuesday. If anyone wants some more information on that, go ahead and ping us. But then also joined for the first time today by Mr. Jim Biggs, and really looking forward to for the first time getting to know Jim. We've been running in the same circles for the past few years, and I was joking with him before we started recording. I was like, I know I've been seeing you all over LinkedIn for forever, but here we are. We're finally getting to know each other a little bit. So yeah, that's some context here. And then Vinki Loomba, she's based out of the San Francisco Bay Area and is just really taken off to the races since. I'm not sure exactly, Vinki, when you started your company, but it seems like you've really just slammed on the gas the past 6 months, and you're really shaking up the industry, which is great to see. So I'll kind of leave it up here. It's a pop up. So here's some popcorn. I guess we'll do ladies first. Vinki, if you had anything you wanted to kind of follow up on my comments, and we'll go over to Jim.
Wow, I'm super happy to be here today. You know, two of my favorite people, Jim Biggs, awesome person, and my favorite, Adam Carswell, who calls me Mama Multifamily, which I love that hashtag. Thank you for giving me that hashtag. I'm super happy and excited to be here today. So I'm going to let Jim speak today because he's the first, he's coming here first time, and we'd love to hear his story.
I appreciate the invite, and very happy to be here and speak to everyone, and especially speak about the GOB network of apartment investors. But wanted to kick it off by congratulating Coach of the Year of the Belmont Pan Point Bandits, Mr. Adam Carswell. Shout out to the Bandits.
You did your research. There's a little hiccup there. Anyone who I used to play with, they'll know. So I played for the Bandits. And then I was the head coach of Galen University, but just the fact that you knew that is definitely catching me off guard in a good way. So thank you. Thank you, Jim. And shout out to Belize. We've had Nadir Price on the pop-ups before. Nadir might actually be the one joining us here in a few. And he lives in Belize. Little unknown fact about Nadir, his grand uncle was George Price, who was the first ever prime minister of Belize. But he's the most humble kid you'll ever meet, and that's why you'll never know that unless we tell you. So Nadir, we hope you catch this. I'm actually going to probably tag you in the comments here. But anyways, Jim and Vinki kind of tossed it over to you here too. Let's hear your story. You know, as I mentioned, you've been a floating name and face for me on the internet for the past 2 to 3 years, but definitely, even just first impressions, you come across as definitely a sharp guy, cool guy, and I can just sense like this guy definitely knows whatever he's going to talk about today. He knows what he's talking about. So let's get the Jim Biggs story.
Well, I'll try to give you the short version. You said we only had 55 minutes. I don't know how I can condense it, but long story short, poor boy born in Tennessee. I'm still just I was raised in orphanages and foster homes, and still in my mindset, barefoot and in my overalls, and very humble. Still, you never get away from who you are, I don't think, and that does influence a lot of the things that I do in life. But I never had any good influences in my life in regard to education or finances or mindset. So those are things that I've come to, luckily, through people that have mentored me throughout my life and have pointed me in the right directions. And I think that the best way to describe me is the millionaire next door. I'm not a very wealthy person, but I am much more blessed than most people. I still drive a 2000 Cadillac Escalade with a busted windshield and a big dent in the back door. So I don't like putting my money anywhere that doesn't work at least as hard as I do. I've been an entrepreneur for most of my life. I've owned several businesses, but I think my entire life has been uphill. For every 2 steps forward, I take a step back. So I've suffered a lot of failures in my lifetime that they say you learn something from every failure. So I joke with my wife, and I've told Vinki a time or two that I'm obviously a genius. because I have learned an awful lot from an awful lot of failures. So, but I came to the multifamily space. Well, I started it. I want to be a real estate investor when I grow up, and I still think I want to be a real estate investor when I grow up. But I've been trying it for about 43 years. I've been in and out of the business many different times, and have had a lot of coaches in the business on many. Every time that I would have one of my, as what does Rod Cleef call them, seminars. I would pause and go back to real estate and hire a coach, and then another opportunity would pull me away. And so that's just been a repeating process throughout my lifetime. We're here now and happy to be here, and trying to add as much value at this stage in my life as I can for all the investors that are following behind us.
I love
Yeah.
it. Go ahead, Vinky.
Yeah, I was just going to say one thing, that I think everybody has a real estate bug in them. You know, it's just like if they realize it sooner in their life or later in their life, people figure it out sooner or later, because that bug is still there. Because when you buy the first house, as soon as you buy the second house, it just starts scrolling. Okay, because you taste the passive. If you rent that, your first property, so you kind of have the taste of the passive income stream. So that's how you start growing your interest. I mean, at least that's how we started, me and my husband, in early 90s, when we got our first house and then got the second house and put the first one on the rent. And then it's like, okay, passive income stream, awesome, we can do it, right? So it's like kind of similar thing for everybody. So that's what I'm saying. Everybody has that real estate bug, but it's the realization
Yeah.
when you find it. Okay, this is a time.
I'm curious. So you mentioned going from that first home to the second home. I think there's a large portion of the population that never even considers going for that second home. So, for anyone who's tuned in here, Vinky, let's kind of take it back a step and just talk about how you first got that idea, and how that, from what we can see, has really snowballed you to now, owning multiple units. What was the big turning point for you to decide to even go for that second home in the first place? And how did you do it too? A lot of people are like, man, I can't afford another home right now.
I think I don't know. I think we were really blessed, I would say, or just very lucky, I would say, because when I got married, I came here in, like, I'm from India. I got married in India, came here, and my husband was always like wanting to buy a house. We had a condo, and then he always like, I wanted to buy a house. That was his thing. So we bought a house, and then first time, at the time, condo, we sold it. We took the money, we bought the house. But when we bought the second house, I think he had some understanding how the real estate works. And he's like, let's not sell this one, let's rent this one, because we can afford to do that. So that's how we started.
Got it. Okay. And yeah, I'm sure we'll get into the details here, but now at Loomba, it's Loomba Investments, correct?
Right. Loomba
And
Investment Group. Mhm.
Loomba Investment Group. I knew that. I'm sorry. um, you guys, how long have you been in business? Because I know you're scaling. It seems pretty quickly right now. How many are you able to talk about? How many doors you have under management?
Yes, I have about 240 doors under management. Have another deal, in the pipeline that we're closing this month, and it's a super sweet deal. Working with a strong team to get that to closure, and super excited about that. That's more than 100 units as well.
Wow. So you're moving pretty quick here. How many deals are you looking to do in 2021?
A bunch of deals. My target is that I wanted to raise at least $10 million.
All right, there you go. You guys heard it here first. Well, maybe not here first, but happy to have it quoted on here. Jim, I see a big smile on your face too. I'm sure, you said you've been at this for 40 some years. So do you remember when you were in Vinky's shoes?
No, I think that I've never been in Vinky's shoes, but I can tell you that I definitely am glad to have her as part of my network. Very, very privileged to have Vinky in my circle of friends. Hers is a very classic story. very inspirational story for anyone that that comes to this country and literally creates um, success, for themselves by themselves. And what I take away from that is that um, for people that grow up in an environment that doesn't think like that, or maybe doesn't see themselves ever having those possibilities, or even see themselves as a homeowner. I think that it's up to us as investors to try to reach down and pull somebody else up. As Vinky said, that bug is inside everyone. They just don't necessarily realize that it's there. So I think that there's so many ways for people to get into this industry, and they just don't know all of the paths. And so that's one of the things that we're working on. I jokingly tell everyone, they ask me what markets I'm interested in, what markets I'm investing in. I don't invest in markets anymore. 2021, my sole focus is investing in people and trying to give back as much as I can and help people like Vinky, who has some really, really big goals. She's going to need to connect with a lot of good sponsors. And so putting whatever an individual investor needs in front of them is what I'm working on for 2021. So I need to put a lot of deals and sponsors in front of Vinky.
Yes, exactly. And by the way, I'm so happy to be part of your network, GOB network. That's a super awesome place. I think, Adam, are you part of it? Maybe you need to check that out.
Yeah, no, I have. You guys got to fill me in. How did you even meet each other in the first place?
Probably through LinkedIn originally.
Mhm.
I honestly, I don't remember, but LinkedIn is really my social media of choice. And as I become busier and busier, it's harder to keep an active presence on the different platforms. And I've really pushed back on giving that task to someone else because I don't want it to feel impersonal. I want to feel, when people feel like they're talking to me, I want them to feel like they're talking to me. And so that's obviously the downside is you can't always be there. So I try to remain active on LinkedIn. But I had the biggest, I said I've had a lot of lessons in my life. I had the biggest one in 2020. So 2020 was the worst year of my life in the first half of the year, and it was the best year of my life in the second half of the year.
Wow.
And so the first half, I lost um, in the mid six-figure range on a deal out in Phoenix due to COVID early in the year. And I thought that it was time for me to retire and start playing a lot more golf. And so I actually spent a few months in Hawaii, licking my wounds and soaking up the grandpa love because my grandson's over there, and decided to come away from that and start a new business, helping investors. There's, as you know, most of the people that get into this game, they never really have the success that they envisioned for themselves. And so we really started the GOB network of apartment investors to address the 80% of the people that try but fail at this. And it's quickly morphed into something much bigger than that. And now it's just not just people that have not succeeded, but people like Vinky who are succeeding very, very rapidly. But everyone has obstacles. Everyone has something that they're missing or something they're looking for. So that's our sole focus, is trying to be a conduit, if you will, to help people find whatever's missing or whatever they're struggling with.
Sure. All right. Well, I'm curious to learn more now. I mean, tell me about the GOB network. What does GOB stand for? Who's behind it? Is it just you? How many people are involved? Is there a membership fee or anything like that? Like, let's hear it.
Well, there is a membership fee. It is by invitation only, but the membership fee is not financial. So it is a freemium model, if you will. It's an for lack of a better way of describing it, it is open source. We're trying to create a hive mind. I have got some really, really big goals that there's no way that I could accomplish them by myself. I would have to start a company, which is one of the things that I spend a lot of times thinking about. How do I do this? Do I follow a traditional model and start hiring people and forming my company and putting all the systems in place? It would literally take me years to build out that kind of structure, and I don't want for it to take years. And I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. So I would rather surround myself with much smarter people than me. So we decided the answer to that was to really create a paradigm shift in the real estate industry. And we're deciding to use the freemium model, the crowdsourced brain trust or hive mind, something similar to if you're familiar with Linux and the open source coding that, or Wikipedia, anyone can write an article on Wikipedia, and that is the power and also the fatal flaw of Wikipedia, because anyone can write an article. So
Mhm.
it doesn't need to be an authority, but the real power is the crowd, the hive mind is the editor of every single article. So that is a proven business model, but it's never been applied to real estate. It's never been applied the way there's been people that have tried little pieces of it. There's groups like Bigger Pockets that have started out with that mindset, but then drifted away from it. That have started one piece. In other words, that is really just one small piece of what we're trying to do. And so by opening this up to the entire world, we're trying to grow it as quickly as we possibly can with as many experts as we can get on board, so that the whole GOB network does not depend on me. It depends on everyone.
Mhm.
And as to where the name comes from, it's something that is an ongoing joke. I tell Vinki, because she felt left out, that it stands for Girls on Board, and or get on board. But in
I
Yeah.
like
reality, the reality is it came from something that has always troubled me, which was one of the foundational pieces about why I started the group, which is the name stands is a short for Good Old Boys. And I'm from the South. So Good Old Boys has two very different meanings. One is, if you remember the Dukes of Hazzard, it's just the good old boys,
Right.
just enjoying life and all of the things that pop in your head when you think of good hillbilly boys like me from Tennessee. But the bigger meaning that most people have are smoke-filled rooms at a country club or a private club that you're not welcome in, and deals are being done that you don't have access to. And I've never been invited into that club, and never had the hopes of being invited to that club. And so I want to build a giant network that we can literally break down the door to that club and take over. So we are taking that name, we're taking possession of that name, if you will, and making it our own. So that we can, anybody that has the gumption to get on board with us at the GOB network, uh, we're going to break open those doors and make these private deals available to anyone. And and to Vinky's point earlier, uh, that means something different for everyone. If you're young like you are, Adam, that might mean, hey, I'm going to be a passive investor because I got started early enough. I don't need to be very active. Or for some people, that have a shorter time window, they may want to be a little more active. Or some people that are just control freaks and need to be more active. So it's a different thing for everybody. But that's what we're doing and what we're working on for 2021.
Oh
that's
man, that's so exciting. And like again, so many thoughts just came to mind for me right there. But one is, I always want to keep in mind the audience and listeners that we might have that for the first time are ever hearing the terms active and passive in the way that in the way in which we're using them right now. Could you explain, and maybe you and Vinki could kind of go back and forth, do a little game with this. Like Vinki, if you want to explain or describe what a passive investor or who a passive investor is, and how that benefits their life being passive. And then Jim, talk about the active piece and how that could also benefit someone if they were to become an active investor in, we'll say, the apartment and multifamily space.
Yeah, certainly. First of all, I like the name Girls on Board.
Well,
Seriously.
before I forget too, that was also a big takeaway for me too, is there is a very clear why behind this group has been established. And normally with that, you will see success transpire through consistency if there's a big why behind it. So I love that. Sorry, go ahead, Vinki.
Yeah, so can I say my why too? My why is really, really strong too, because my why is whatever I'm doing or whatever income I'm generating from as a GP, everything I'm donating 100% to my charities. Because basically I'm just working for my charities because I'm at this point of my life where I asked my husband, do you need me to work? He says, no. And I felt like I need to give back. I wanted to contribute to the society. God gave me so much. We are so blessed. This is the time to give back. So whatever I earn. So that's the reason I say, Adam and Jim, I am blessed that I'm here. You say it's been accelerating. Yes, but it's some other power, some superpower, because the people who need it, they are making it happen because they need that money. They need those resources for them. So I just strongly feel that that's the reason it's happening.
Wow.
So coming back to the passive investing for the people, that's how we started actually. Because see, when you're a busy professional, whether you're a doctor, lawyer, engineer, or you're doing your IT job, just like me, or a professor like me, you do not have time to look for anything else. So you do have your money sitting in the bank and you're earning like 1%, 2%, not making much. So there's an option for you that you can explore this opportunity and invest in real estate and get big returns on your investment. So, but as a passive investor, you do not have to do anything. You just have to bring the money on the table or money in the deal and enjoy the returns. And you can keep on doing whatever you're doing, your daily job, you wanted to travel, whatever you wanted to do in your life, just keep on doing that. Have the other operators run the show for you. So I enjoy passive investing. So I am a passive investor as well as active investor. And I will let Jim speak about the active investing.
Well, before I go into the active investing piece, I do want to say that, Vinki has a website that really is dedicated to trying to educate people about investing passively, because there are so many different people and circumstances. So yes, we have very busy professionals that a huge benefit for them is diversifying their portfolio and actually having an asset that historically has some of the highest returns um, of any investment, but also one of the lowest risks in a cost adjusted manner for them to invest in. And there's so many different ways for you to get paid. Not just the fact that you're expecting a certain return on investment, but the tax benefits are so huge being an investor in real estate. So there's just so many reasons to be a passive investor. But there's other people that I think should be passive investors. So someone like me, who's I'm about to be 63 here in a few weeks, that might have a lot of money in CDs and other fixed investments that are not paying very well, and historically have used those to create a monthly income, and they're on a fixed income. So real estate investing can offer them just huge outsized returns compared to their CDs, and offer that kind of steady cash flow. And also people that are very young that realize that, look, the retirement that I have is probably not available to them any longer. And they're relying on things like a 401k. and they don't realize that they can be the owner of their own 401k, and it's really fairly straightforward and fairly simple. But these are educational pieces that they're not being taught in school, and they rely on people like all three of us that are in the industry to disseminate that and information to them. And if they get started early, and if they are very consistent with their investments, then they can have the lifestyle, they can have the retirement that maybe their parents or their grandparents enjoyed. And I think investing passively is one of the best ways to do that. But for the people that want to be active investors, if you're already in the industry, and you're out there hustling every day, and you see this as your full-time job, and you're dedicated to it on a full-time basis, then you are by definition an active participant, an active investor. And there's many different ways to be an active investor. There's people that do it full time. There's also people that have a full time job that are still on the active side of the business. So there's always two sides to the business. The active side being the people who are finding these deals for you, who are operating these deals for you, and who are putting together the teams that are necessary for to manage a professionally run business. And that's the definition, I guess, of an active investor.
Awesome.
Boom, I
And I
love it.
wanted to,
Oh, go ahead.
sorry, I wanted to add one thing. I just, because you mentioned 401k, Jim, so I wanted to
Mhm.
mention, I just recorded a video on how to invest from your 401k, whether you're in service or retired. And I just recorded a video with this 401k expert yesterday. I'm going to be releasing that soon. So you can look for that video
You
soon.
gotta where can our viewers go to get that information, Vinky?
I'm going to be putting on my website, loombainvest.com. So you can check out over there, www.loombainvest.com. I'll post it there. And also on my YouTube channel. Again, YouTube channel is Loomba Invest as well.
Nice. I just put it in the comments so people can go check that out. And then also, is there a resource or a link or a website, landing page, anything for the GOB network?
Well, it's funny that you asked, because right now the way the GOB network is started, I gave myself 6 months to beta test the idea, because I wasn't sure that it would work. I thought it would work. And so I came back from Hawaii and started talking to my friends, and started running the idea by them. And I thought, okay, the best way to beta test this is for me to work with an individual investor one at a time, so that I could give them everything that they needed to get a deal done. They could use my net worth, so that that's not an obstacle. They could use my liquidity, so that's not an obstacle. They could use my experience as an asset manager, so that's not an obstacle. They could use my KP experience signing Freddie and Fannie loans, so that's not an obstacle. I wanted to eliminate as many obstacles, so that really the only remaining one was the individual. So the only thing stopping Adam from investing in this deal is Adam, because I've given him everything else. So in essence, that's the idea, is to give you what you need and overcome the obstacles. And so when we started it, we had that vision. Let's beta test it for 6 months. If we think it'll work, then we'll give ourselves another 12 months to stand it up and make it a real business, kind of like Pinocchio. You know, he wants to be a real boy. We want to be a real business. And so a lot of things are happening. We're supposed to still be in that beta phase, but we're not. It's growing much faster than we anticipated, which I think proves the power of the crowd. So right now, we didn't envision having a lot of these pieces in place, and so we're rapidly scurrying trying to get them together. So right now, the easiest way to connect with us is probably on LinkedIn. If you just put in the search box GOB network, it should pop up, and or Jim Biggs will pop up my LinkedIn or Facebook profile, or my bio or something will pop up pretty easy in Google. I'm very easy to find, and you can always reach out via Jim Biggs at Gmail. or through LinkedIn DM. Pretty easy to find.
Yep, I've got your LinkedIn link here, and definitely going to drop that in the chat as well. Guys, go ahead and connect with Jim. Check him out. Check out the GOB network. That's helping clarify for me now too. So it's really you have created and continue to grow basically a platform that empowers, say, empowers active investors to do what they do best, which is execute on the business side of things rather than worry about the back end, things that normally will be hurdles for someone who's just getting started. Is that an accurate summary?
That is a very accurate summary for a piece. So that was really the beta test piece. But you need to really open your mind to every aspect of real estate, literally every aspect. So we have to have a starting point, and that was the starting point. But to take that further, we want to eventually be a place that addresses and brings that idea, that crowd sourced or open source or hive mind idea to every aspect, no matter what that looks like. So in the beginning, it's much easier for me to focus on the active side, but I need people like Vinki, and that's why I'm so proud that she's a member of the GOB network, to bring all of her educational pieces for the limited investors. So we will eventually have, a huge repository of information, and we won't have just Vinki there, but 100 Vinkis, bringing all of those resources to a much bit broader network. So we've already started expanding. Like I said, it's growing much faster. We have actually a piece of the network in China, in Hong Kong and mainland China, that have already reached out and said, we want to be part of this network. Can we start growing it here on this side of the world? And so there's things that are coming at us much, much faster than we had anticipated. So there's the web page is not up and running. There is a gobnetwork.com, but it's just right now just a couple of pictures. But I think there is a link there to our Facebook group. I don't know yet. That might be the only active link,
A
but
Facebook
it's
group is,
coming.
yeah, I mean, if you've got the Facebook group down, that's huge. I mean, I've seen so many individuals, not only in this space, not the commercial real estate space, but across all sectors, find tremendous success just by focusing on their Facebook group. And now what I'm hearing, and this is the real underlying key, I think, to the success you're seeing and probably will continue to see, is you are the part of the business that you're decentralizing is the education. You're building a very strong foundation of education for those that do come to the GOB network. Like you said, Vinki is providing some resources and content, but then the goal is to grow it to 100 more Vinkis or individuals to provide this value. And when you focus on the educational piece, you attract the quality of individuals that you want to work with. You attract, well, yeah, that's it. You attract who you want to work with once that foundational educational piece, using all these big words, come together. So, I mean, I'm sure you guys both have some feedback on that, but is that accurate? Am I getting that right?
I still think that your mind needs to open up a
Okay.
much larger thinking. So I'll give you an example. You're absolutely right in what you said. Just don't limit it to that. So think of any obstacle to an investor, whether it's a new investor or a seasoned investor. And if you can create an obstacle in your mind, we want to address that obstacle. We want to provide as many shortcuts to overcoming that obstacle as needed. Because if you've only got one method, if you've only got one avatar, if you've only got one business plan, then that's not enough. That's you're limiting yourself and the greater investing network, if you will. So we want to create as many roads to success as we possibly can, and then within each one of those roads, create as many shortcuts, as many efficiencies as we can. And it's a really big, hairy goal, but I'm not doing it by myself. It's literally everyone. We're going to depend on everyone to do this, to help us do this. And as an example, the way most programs work is you have a curriculum, if you will, and you teach people a process. Follow these 10 steps to success. And what I want to do is say, no, don't follow these 10 steps to success. Instead, find someone who's already done steps 1, 2, and 3, and then come in and jump on their shoulders and go from 3 to 7. And then the next person come in and go from 7 to 10. And then the next person, and just continue to grow the network.
Figure
Who
out the
kn-
who, not the how, right? That's what you're trying to
That's,
say.
True.
I think that is apropos.
That's very
Yes.
well
Okay.
said.
So,
Very well
but
said.
yeah. So a different piece would be, say, for example, trying to build out a new market. So when the first time I decided I wanted to invest in larger apartment complexes, I chose Texas as my market, and specifically DFW. And so I spent literally about 18 months flying to DFW once a month and spending a long weekend there and spending 4 or 5 grand every single time I went there to build out my network and meet potential investors, meet brokers, meet property managers, tour properties, attend conferences. And that's the very traditional way of doing that. Well, we have found a shortcut for that within the GOB network so that we can literally eliminate 18 months and put you in front of targeted investors that have already self-identified that they want to invest in your market, in your asset class, and you don't need to go find all of these things individually. So we as a network are helping bring those pieces together for you, with all of us networking and bringing it there. So that's a different piece of the platform. So just whatever that obstacle looks like, if you can imagine it, we may not have imagined it yet, but one of us will imagine it, and we will find shortcuts and solutions to make it more efficient.
Yeah,
Got
I
it.
think GOB platform is the solution provider platform. If you can think in that regard, So if you're looking for some answers, so you'll be able to find the answer because it's like more like a collaborative effort. It's not one person answering all the questions for you. And I think we have more than 150 members already. I think, Jim, correct me if I'm wrong. And
Yep.
then just think like one mind versus 150 minds working together. So how many answers we're gonna have to a problem? So we are not looking for the problems. We are looking for the solutions all the time. I think that's what the motto is for the GOB network. And it's super nice to be part of that network. And then everybody is very nice and they like to help in whatever way they can. Very, very resourceful platform, I would say. So it's gonna grow very big. Like Jim said, there is no limits. It's a limitless platform. So because we are building on something that's already there. So we're giving the platform and we're building on that existing platform. It's not like that you're starting from the scratch, because to me, if somebody is giving you only 10 steps, okay, this is the 10 steps to success. Go ahead and follow that, you'll be successful. To me, you're very limited. You're very limited. You're just gonna walk those 10 steps and get there. And after that, what? I'm done? Not necessarily, right? You don't want it to be done. If you're done, the purpose of life is over. You want it to be kind of limitless. You want it to work your optimum potential. And that's what you're gonna get when you're part of this GOB network. And I really love that. Thanks, Jim, for starting that.
So, hey, how blessed are we to have someone like, Vinki, that is setting a shining example of how to get into this industry as a professional, coming out of the tech world, and being a university professor, and for us to have that kind of brain power. I don't need to be the sharpest tool in the shed, because I've got people like Vinki that are part of the greater membership. That's the power, is having people like that around you.
Thank you,
And so
Jim.
you
Likewise.
you've definitely, it sounds like you scaled from 1 to 150 in the past 6 months. Is that
Actually, we gave ourselves, we thought we'd be there where we are right now, and we're
Uh-huh.
barely scratching 3 months. And
Okay.
so
Oh,
I
wow.
think that we're growing exponentially. And so I think that 2021 is going to be a big year, but we're already working on things, Adam, that I didn't anticipate for probably a year down the road. To be honest with
Wow.
you, we're probably realistically already about 9 months into the business plan or into the idea. So.
Who are some other, I guess you could say, key players within the network? You always have your top performers, especially in a group of 150. I'm sure Vinki's one of them. Is there anyone else that we're able to kind of highlight and maybe share like some success stories?
Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't really been focused on asking people to tell their story, so to speak. But I think there's a lot of names there that would be, that within our small silo that would be recognizable. We are purposely, though, very early 3 months, and our focus was on a very specific avatar. So the people that we brought onto the platform in the very, very beginning would not have been superstars, would not have been household names, because we're really focusing on the people that are not succeeding at this and trying to figure out, can we help them. That's, I think, the essence of the platform, is how can we help create more success stories. And as it started to grow, we had people like Vinky that seen the power of this and said, look, I want to be an early adopter. I want to get on board right away. And I didn't create this for an A personality. I didn't create this for somebody like an Adam Carswell or for a Vinky, because you guys are going to succeed with or without me and with or without this platform. The reality is you're using things like that to help accelerate what you're doing, but you don't need it. And so by definition, the people that we were focusing on would not have been household names. But I think that there's going to be a lot of new household names come out of this platform.
Yeah. And how, so yeah, I'm just going to keep asking. This is more, I guess, advice for anyone out there who maybe wants to go and also start their own mastermind or begin building their own tribe. Especially in a time where, I think more than ever, we just want to be surrounded by like-minded individuals, because you kind of feel like, who do I trust besides the GOB network type of thing,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
looking back on it, you started small, you tested small, which is very powerful. I've heard that concept. You start small and then it keeps working, keep building and building. And now, again, sounds like that's what we're seeing. But like some other key factors, like fundamental factors that you would advise, someone who's building a mastermind, what advice would you give to them from a foundational standpoint?
Wow. I don't proclaim.
Putting you on the spot.
Yeah, no. People ask me for advice on a lot of different topics, and I'm very free with my opinion. But I think the biggest thing I'd want to tell people is you don't need to be a superstar to do this, but you do need to have an open heart. You do need to realize your limitations and surround yourself with people and be willing to always try to find a way to add value to someone so that they in reciprocation want to add value to you. And that's what we're testing the boundaries with this idea that we're experimenting with. We're testing the boundaries of the abundance mentality, and giving literally everything that we can find to give and not ask anything in return. And so I think if you want to create a mastermind, to me, that's a foundational piece for me. Why are you creating it? Now, there's a lot of different reasons. And so you really have um, for me to give advice, it would be disingenuous for me to give advice on starting a mastermind that doesn't align with the goals that I'm pursuing, because I think that it would require a different set of tools. And so for me, I think that it's just trying to add value. And if you can give back value, you'll attract certain people that hopefully, like Vinky, can bring a lot more to your platform and to your inner circle, if you will, than what you might be able to provide by yourself. And that is the essence of the mastermind, whether it's a mastermind of 5 or whether it's a mastermind of 5 million.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Cream
true.
rises to the top. So Vinky, Jim and we've been going back and forth. I don't know for the past few minutes. I know you. I'm sure you've got like some comments though, so I just want to give you an opportunity to chime in here.
I just have to say one thing, because what is Jim is doing with this GOB network, he's trying to make a difference. And I'm pretty sure he realized that already. He just like creating a robust platform for the people, uh, I would say knowledge sharing platform. And there is kind of freemium, he said, no fees attached, no strings attached. So it's just like a huge, huge platform. And I think it's gonna grow big because he has the vision and he's not like monetizing it. And I'm not sure if he wants to do it at some point. And I don't think there's anything wrong with monetization either, because sometimes you feel like if people don't pay for something, they don't value it. And I hope whosoever joined this network, they value it. They see the value. They see what they're getting out of this thing. And they just not waste the resources versus collaborate. Take a collaborative approach. And within the network, there's no competition. We are working everybody together in collaboration. We are not trying to, create any competition. I would say healthy competition is okay, but at the same time, you're competing with yourself. And if you compete with yourself, you're gonna make a better version of yourself. And that's what I think Jim is, creating. I would say, what's the word I'm looking for? He's kind of a role model. He became a better version of himself that he by helping other people. He's kind of example. Look, I'm giving all the resources to everybody. Go use these resources, make use of all these resources, and make the best version out of yourself. And I think this is like, I will commend him for that. It's a huge, huge effort that is, putting out for everybody. And then people part of the network should be able to avail this opportunity and use it for their best interest. That's what I have to say. That's what I'm saying. In the real estate community, I'm super happy to be in this place because everybody is so helpful, so knowledgeable, so resourceful, and they are not holding themselves back to help you. Everybody's out there. Okay, here I have this thing. Let me share with you. So, which makes you extra special by doing that.
And a lot of this interaction you mentioned is, I'm assuming it's going on in the Facebook group.
Well, actually, we've got a platform that kind of houses all of the foundational pieces, but the communication takes place in our bigger vision. Yeah, will take place in groups, whether it's a Facebook group or whether it's a LinkedIn group. But we also have a Slack channel that we use to communicate within the group, where we talk about the things that are on the platform, whether we're talking about deals that are on the platform, or we're talking about capital that's on the platform, or we're talking about market research, whatever that resides on the platform. That's how we discuss it. Uh, and we're putting together a lot of Zoom meetings. We're starting to launch meetups, virtual meetups that we envision having one in every city, every market. And it's funny because we've got one. I'm very hopeful. We've got one launching soon in the Bay Area. We've got one launching in New York City. Of course, we have the ones here in the Chicagoland area. And to our real surprise, the very first ones to reach out to us were the ones in Hong Kong and mainland China. And so we do see that if we don't restrict people's creativity, if we just give them a platform to say, how can we help you reach your goal? How can we help you build your brand? what can we do to provide a bigger benefit than you might be able to accomplish by yourself? How can we accelerate what you're trying to do?
So here's my next piece, because I know we talked about a lot about apartments and multifamily. Has this grown to other sectors now, other asset classes, I should say?
It really started with apartments, Adam, because that's what I know best and that's where I'm comfortable. And but I envision it relating to all pieces of real estate. So if someone is hearing this and they're a fix and flipper and that's all they do, but they would like to be part of this process, then they can come to the GOB network and be the face of fix and flippers, because we don't have that piece yet. We do have some people on the platform that are into industrial, and they're so busy right now in their personal lives that they haven't taken the lead yet to build out the industrial piece for the GOB network. But we do envision it being an all-inclusive platform for real estate.
I love that. Okay, I got plenty of ideas running through my head, but we got to start winding it down. So Jim, as you mentioned, I'm sure we'll reconnect and keep chatting. Just hearing your skills as a connector, it's definitely something I aim to do with my life every day too. And just hearing what you've accomplished so far is so cool, very inspiring. And yeah, I've got like at least 10 follow-up questions for you that we can save for another time. So Vinki, thank you for bringing Jim here for this next level pop-up. That's the name right there. It's a next level pop-up. We never know when the next one's going to be, but stay tuned. Any closing words? We'll start with Vinki and then Jim.
Just wanted to say thanks for inviting us, Adam. It was super nice to be with you two here, and then hear about Jim's story. And then Adam, didn't get to hear much about you today. Wanted to hear about your next
See if I
level.
can find a link to my story, put it in there.
But you're doing a lot of stuff yourself, you're connecting. You're like, I would say, the master connector, connecting all the people around. You're super awesome resource. I love that. Thanks again for inviting us.
My pleasure. Jim?
And yeah, I'll say also thank you, Vinki, for connecting us, because Adam's been on my radar for a while, and we've not been able to connect yet. And so very grateful that you put us together, and really, really looking forward to continuing that relationship and maybe having some follow-up phone calls and get an invitation to Belize someday.
Yeah, I'm happy to go back down there.
That.
Well, but yeah, we could all go to Belize.
Yeah.
And you said my story. I recently just did an interview with Hunter Thompson over at ASIM Capital, and we were just talking about some recent success that we've had. So I'm putting that in the chat, and it's not necessarily my story, but it's a cool story recently. So I just want to leave.
I have one thing before we leave, because you had a interview with, I think you interviewed Grant Cardone, right?
Grant Cardone, I did, yeah.
Right. So you want to tell us a little bit about that? What was the experience like? You see, you're doing super things, super cool things.
I want to hype it up as much as I can. And believe me, over the next few weeks, it will seem as though I interviewed Grant Cardone like 20 times, because we are repurposing that content and pushing it out, just so everyone remembers that did happen. But I am one of many. I'm thankful and grateful to have one of his CFOs in my mastermind. And he's like, yeah, Grant's doing 11 of those interviews per day. I don't know if he's doing it every day, but I found out the day that I was doing it with him, I was one of 11. So, staying humble with it, but very happy that we got to share some time together. And that all started through Clubhouse. So Vinki, I know you're on Clubhouse. I just mentioned earlier, we have a Clubhouse, myself, Austin Linney, Zach Rasinger, and Dan Lukowitz every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central. And it's kind of like this next level pop-up. We started out by giving it a title. We were going to talk about podcasting and marketing. And then we found out that we kept talking about different things. So we're like, you know what, we're just going to call it, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. And we always end up talking about something cool to take everybody's life to the next level. So yeah, guys, this has been fantastic. It seems like the most juicy stuff always comes out at like the last 5 minutes of any meeting or interview. I don't know if you guys ever noticed that, but yeah, looking forward to keeping the conversation going. And Jim, it's been a real honor sharing the screen with you today.
Yes.
Humbled.
And you too, Vinki. But I just want to say, Jim, because I just met him for the first time. Vinki, I'm going to talk to you later.
He's a special guest today, Jim. Yeah, thanks for, being here, Jim. Really enjoyed the conversation with you.
Yeah, you know me, Vinky. I could keep this conversation going for probably 4 more hours. There's a lot of stories in 63 years of life.
Wow.
All good stories, though. We love it.
Well, thank you. Thank you. One more time. Thank you everyone who joined us here live, or if you're watching on the replay, be sure to comment below too. Hashtag live, hashtag replay. It kind of helps boost the overall views of this presentation. And yeah, if you haven't connected with any of us, be sure to add us as a friend here on Facebook, LinkedIn. We'd love to connect, follow up with you guys. This has been a Next Level Pop-Up Live. My name is Adam Carswell. I was joined by Vinki Loomba and Jim Biggs. Thank you for tuning in. And remember, in all you think, say, and do, take it to the next level.